sure everybody's aware of this. So on this manager's help page, there's videos on how to do things on the COYBL website, also how to get your nation's insurance. If you play in any nation's tournaments or you have nation's insurance, you have to have your roster uploaded on that website. Your insurance will not be any good, and you cannot enter any nation's tournaments without being on there. So on here, we've got, different how-tos. If you ever have any problems, I'm available. I make myself available to help anybody. So there's no great science to this. Once I walk you through it, I'm sure you'll do fine with it. It's very easy to manipulate. So also, you'll notice that we have information there about Nations Baseball and UCCC Baseball on here in the contacts. We also have a dedicated page on the website for each organization. It has information there about their national sanctioned bodies. Next page up, you'll see we have a page dedicated to rules. The first thing you'll notice there is OHSAA info for summer league coaches. So there's, especially as kids get older, there's things you can do and you can't do. So you could threaten the eligibility of the players, so make sure you read that information. And then we have the rules broken down into 7 and 8, and 9 modified, and so on. We also have the pitching chart, limit charts. It actually breaks it down into each age group. And we also have pitching logs. So it's very important to follow our pitching rules. That's part of the safety. We don't expect you to track it on tournaments. That's not what we do. So any COYBL games, you have to track your pitching and get it posted to the website, or you could forfeit that game. Okay. We have the bat rules and also approved baseballs on that page. Any questions about anything that's been covered so far? We can talk about it now, or I'm available after the meeting as well. And also our league directors are available. So we're all on the same page about taking care of you guys, the coach and the teams, and the safety of the players. So feel free to ask anytime. Next thing up is we're going to talk a little bit about umpires. So umpires are a very important part of our game. There's actually a national shortage of not only umpires, but also referees in different sports. The people that are umpiring are getting older and older, and some of the young guys aren't stepping up and filling those roles. So it's very important that we understand how to interact with the umpires. I know some of them are difficult. There's also some difficult coaches, so at different times. So Pete's going to talk about umpires. Pete is a director with COYBL and also a high school umpire. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. How are you doing today? Good? All right, this is going to be the interactive portion of the presentation. You can go to the next page, sorry. Doug was right. There is an epidemic across the country, and especially in Ohio and central Ohio. There was an article written, or an editorial written in the Columbus Dispatch just last week by Jerry Snodgrass, who is the OHSAA head of officials, head of the organization. Doug is right. The average age of a baseball umpire in central Ohio is in the early to mid 50s. And what we've seen over the last 10, 15, 20 years is that we all have a passion for baseball. That's why we're here today. Our kids, however, do not, as they grow up, do not continue the passion like we would have when we were their age, and grow into becoming coaches and becoming baseball officials to continue that passion. And it's, can you go to the next page? Keep going, I'm sorry. And it's for one particular reason, primarily through survey work throughout the entire country and in Ohio. It's because of how parents act. So for the last 20 years, our kids have seen how we've acted and got, yeah, not so much, I don't want any part of that. And it's parents, it's coaches, and it's officials not acting appropriately. And the cause for the lack of officials is because of that parent abuse. We got 2 more. So how many have had an issue trying to find officials at any point in time in your COYBL involvement? Now, you're seeing probably about 25-30% of the hands have gone up. And how many of you had seen negative interactions between adults, being coaches, officials, and parents during your games? More hands are going up on that one. So I've been an official in Central Ohio at the high school level and in the COYBL and travel level for 17 years now, and I've been part of COYBL for almost 20. And my kids are older now, they're 23, 25, and they go, Dad, I don't know how you do it, and I don't want any part of it, and that pains me. So if you go to the next one, please. What we're looking to do this year in COYBL is we're asking for your help in reversing this trend, simply for one reason and one reason only. It's because every chance we get to work together as adults is a teachable moment and a life lesson for our kids. And we need to have the life lessons turn around in a more positive way as we continue to move forward as part of COYBL. So what I'd like to do is share with you as an official the 5 reasons, and frankly as a COYBL commissioner, because I hear it from everybody. I mean, there will be on a Sunday, I'll get a text, hey, an umpire made this call, is that the right call? So I hear it from everybody, so I think I got both sides of the equation pretty well covered. And there are basically 5 reasons, in my estimation, why there are issues between adults on a baseball field. One is because we play when it's hot. And people just get tension because of the weather, if nothing else. Number 2 is because games get heated. You're playing against your chief rival, you've never beaten them before, and you're in the bottom of the 5th inning, and you got a great chance, and you want every favor to go your way, and sometimes it just doesn't, and the games get heated. Number 3 is from time to time, and maybe even often, there's poor officiating, or there's a lack of consistency between one umpire one game and the umpire you have the next time. We understand that, but again, we've got to raise all of our games for the sake of the kids. Another issue is, but it looks like that. There's a difference between a play happening and what it looks like and what it really is and how it pertains to the rules. And then last, in my personal experience, and we'll go over a couple of scenarios, or a few scenarios that I've had as an umpire just last season alone, is I will tell you most adults don't know the rules of the game. They think they do, but they don't, and then it causes issues. So what I like to do is I'm going to put a couple of scenarios, a few scenarios out there, and guys, just shout out what you think the answer might be. So if you go to the first one, there's a pitcher, and he attempts to pick off a runner at first base. He's in the stretch. He turns and throws to first base. He overthrows. The ball goes out of bounds. Anybody know what the umpire ruling is? What's that? Did he step off the rubber? So, okay, that's a number 1 issue right now, is what happened? How did he do that? If he stepped back, it's different than if he did a jump turn. If he steps back, he's no longer a pitcher. He is designated as an infielder, and an infielder who overthrows first base and the ball goes out of bounds, that's 2 bases, 2-base award. You're absolutely right. I will tell you that I probably called that 15 times last year, and 15 times I got an argument from the coach. All right, if you did a jump turn, that runner on first goes to just second base. But if you put him on third base, I guarantee you people will be arguing. Am I right?
Yep.
All right, so that's number 1. 15 out of 15 times I've had an argument. If you go to the next one. Pitcher's entire foot is not in front of the rubber. What do you got? Is it a balk? Anybody know? All right, I would tell you last year that would be a balk. I'll tell you this year the rule has changed, and you do not have to have your entire foot in front of the rubber. You can have a portion of your foot in front of the rubber this year, but last year that was a balk. So now you know if an official happens to call that, it's a revised rule in high school baseball, which is the guiding rule book for youth baseball in the United States. So that would not be a balk this year. Last year would be a balk. And I will tell you that there are lots of officials that probably wouldn't call that, but every now and again you'll get one who would have called it last year.
How do you recommend we approach that?
I would call time and say, hey, can we have a conversation as I understand it? That was a balk last year. It's not a balk this year by rule, and have that conversation with them. And just do it in a very pleasant manner. And ultimately, the umpire is charged with making the final ruling. But that is the rule this year, and just handle it in an adult manner just like you would anywhere else. Pitcher addresses the rubber with the ball in his glove hand. So pitcher comes up like this, has the ball in this hand, takes the ball out and goes like that. You got anything?
Ball.
What's that?
Ball.
That is a ball. All right? Once you put your two hands together, the only thing, in any manner, the only thing that you can do is pitch the ball. So doing this, doing this, taking the ball out, your hands are together, putting it behind you, that's a ball. Now, I will also tell you, with my pregame, even though that is the rule, every single time I will call that out with the two coaches and say, I will not call that, because if I call it once, I'm going to have to call it 45 times during the game. Because in my experience, a U9, U10, U11 kid cannot change during a game. So I will run out, I will tell him, I will tell the coaches, and unless in a particular instance it gives the pitcher an advantage over the runner, I will never ever call that. But next one. And these have all happened to me in the past year, by the way, as an umpire. Coach standing at the end of the dugout, catches there's a pop-up. He's standing, here's the end of the dugout, the ball's coming right here. He goes like this, catches it, and throws it back to the pitcher to keep the game going. Got anything? Okay, no call. All right, and other than that, I'll go, hey, thanks, coach, and send it in. Go to the next one. All right, same exact scenario. However, this time, there's a third baseman who comes over and looks at it and goes and doesn't quite know if he can lean in or not, or may attempt to lean in, but he can't because the coach takes it and throws it. What do you got? You got interference. If it was the coach of the batter is out. All right? I will tell you that on that particular call, I probably had a 12-minute argument with 5 different parents and 3 different coaches from a team. But that is a call. All right? Next one. Play at the plate. The throw beats the runner by a mile. Everybody in the entire field knows this runner is out. The catcher catches the ball, puts it down on home plate, way before the runner slides in. What's the likely call that the umpire is going to make? Somebody say safe? Out. And here's why. All right? And it will create a firestorm. Here's why. Unless you put that ball before home plate, if you think about it, when the runner slides in, if there is this much of home plate free, he made it to the base before he got tagged. In that instance, and every one of you here, in all likelihood, would argue with me on that particular call, but in that particular instance, even though he looks like he's out and he should be out, the catcher did not execute in order to make him out. I would call him safe every single time. And as I'm doing it, I'm sitting there going, here's the shitstorm. It's about to happen. All right. I'll go through the next one, and then I'll explain something that as an umpire and a COYBL parent for the last 20 years that is grossly missing from teaching kids how to play baseball today. But shortstop is at second base. He catches the ball in a 10U game. The runner slides into second, and the shortstop is straddling the bag, and he tags the guy on the runner on his shoulders. What do you got? As an umpire, what do you think you got? You got to say, it's physically impossible for the tag to have occurred before his feet, if he's sliding in feet first, have gotten to first base. He looked like he's out, but a good umpire is not going to call him out because the fielder didn't execute appropriately. One more. Okay. Play at second, same thing, 10U game. Shortstop catches the ball as runner begins to slide into second. Shortstop places his glove in front of the bag. Likely call? Out. This is the one thing as an official that I've seen all the way through the high school level. Kids over the last 20 years have not been taught how to tag. All right? They go to tag the runner instead of having the runner slide into the tag. You do this, you'll get the out call every single time. You do it the other way, not likely, and he'll look safe, and the shitstorm will happen again. Another one. This is going back to rules. Ball gets single to right in a 9U game. The ball gets by the right fielder for a second or two. He picks up the ball. He throws it to first base. The runner, who has gotten a single, running through the base, going back to the base, turns towards second base, starts jogging back to first base. The right fielder takes the ball, throws it to first, and you'll see this at a 9U game, and tags the runner before he got back to first base. What's the call? First I heard out, you're all wrong, right? As a runner, you have the right to go back to the base. So if I'm running down to first base, I hit first base, and I turn this way and go back. A lot of people think, well, he turned towards second base. No, he has to make an attempt or a feint to second base, and that's not what we talked about here. If he runs this way and goes, and then goes back and gets tagged out, he'll be out. But if he just goes and turns towards second base and comes back to the base, there's no play at first base and he's safe. All right, next. It's happened to me last year with a U18 coach, and he wanted to discuss it for 4 innings because he ended up being the first base coach and I was the field umpire, so I had to listen to it for 4 innings. Runner going into second base doesn't slide, and the shortstop, and this is a double play ball, the shortstop throws the ball wildly to first base because you're trying to get around the runner and he made an errant throw. Defensive team coach calls time and says, interference, he didn't slide. What's the umpire's response?
The next slide.
You don't have to slide in baseball ever. All right? So if you do slide, you have to slide legally. And he said, no, that's a rule. And I go, sir, it's not. He goes, well, you don't know. In the state of Ohio, it's a rule. And now you never have to slide in baseball, ever. So that is if the ball went out of play, the runner going into first would end up being on second base. Again, for the reason that we talked about before, because if it's an overthrow, goes out of play from a fielder, it is 2 bases. So at 2 bases would be home plate, he hit the ball, he gets to first, and then he gets to second. That's a great question. We hope he's okay, and we take him out. It's a baseball play. There's nothing there. Okay, next one. Batter gets hit on his hands by the pitch. Foul ball, hit by pitch. A lot of it depends. All right, if he's swinging and it hits his hands, that would be a strike. If he is, I had this last year where a player here's the line right here for the batter's box, and he's crowding the plate, can't do that. Yes, you can, as long as you're not past that line. But if he's leaning over home plate like this and he gets hit, a good umpire will make a call of either a ball or a strike, depending where his hands were, because this is the province of the pitcher. If he's back here and he gets hit here, obviously it's going to be a hit by pitch. But if his hands are over the province of the plate, the sphere of the plate, if it's in the strike zone, a good umpire is going to call it a strike. If not, if it's outside of the strike zone, a good umpire is going to call it a ball, and the batter stays right there. All right, next one. Just a few more. The pitch is high near the inside edge of the plate. Batter gets hit by the pitch on his shoulder. What do you think the ruling is? When the ball comes in, you have to make an attempt to get out of the way if you can. So it depends what the umpire's judgment will be on something like that. I've had guys who curveballs coming in and they see it's going to hit them and they just stand there and let it hit them. And if I make a determination that they could have made an attempt to get out of the way and they didn't, I'll keep them right there and I'll call it a ball. And as I'm doing, I'm going, here it comes. But those are the rules. All right. That's sort of the same thing. Next one. All right, this is the last one. Umpires in the appropriate position to make a call. on a play at the plate, which for you guys who are not umpires, the mechanic is that the umpire would be in what we call third base extended. So if the runner's coming in from here, we're standing behind home plate in a line from third base, and that's the best place to make a call as an umpire. The coach is at the right field side of first base dugout, and there's a play at the plate, whether he's safe or out. Who do you think probably has a better view and a better judgment of the play at the plate? That umpire or the coach who's at the far end of the field in right field at the bench?
Coach.
The coach, of course. So, yeah, we get a lot of that too. But so at the end of the day, these are some examples, and on any given question here, we might have had 50% of the folks say one answer and 50% say the other answer. So you can see how it can get pretty heated. My kids asked me, "Hey, Dad, are you going to umpire again this year?" And I said, "Yeah, because I love it." And they said, "Yeah, but you told me you hate parents." And so there's both of those things. But what we're asking from a COYBL point of view is, remember, we're influencing kids no matter what we do. So the interactions, and as an umpire, I will be glad to have any conversation with any coach or any, well, generally not parents, but any coach that wants to have a conversation in just an adult, nice manner, and explain the rules. And if we disagree, that's fine. We agree to disagree. But let's have these positive interactions, because we're influencing kids' lives, and we want them to come back and be officials and coaches when they're done as well. All right? Thank you, everybody.
While we're on the umpires topic, is Lee Hawkins here? Lee? Lee Hawkins was here earlier. He's an umpire assigner, and he did a great job of getting umpires for the COYBL tournament last year, even with all the rainouts, so we couldn't have done it without him. So a few more things we'll cover here. So concerning the team pages, I want to make sure that everybody's able to log into their team page on the COYBL website. If you're not, please let me know. I'll be more than glad to help you solve any issues there may be there.
Hey, Doug, real quick, because I had one of my coaches contacted me, and I went to try and find him. I don't think he had an account. So tell them they have to make sure that they've got an account. And,
right.
And when they email us with what their login what their user ID is, so we can locate them.
Yeah. So if you're having trouble, if you can, when you email us, let us know your team name and your team age group and what your login information is. And we'll
not password. Not password. Don't need password.
Yeah. So we'll make sure you're using the proper login. Some people have multiple logins, so we need to make sure we have the one identified for that team. The other thing is, we need the two things we require is home field information and also the pitch tracker if you're 9 and up. So, and we need to make sure that's the right one. So at the bottom it'll say, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. If you need help changing that, I'd be more than glad to help you. So it's covered on the video on the website as well. Let's see here. So we've added important dates on the homepage of the website, so you'll be able to see those dates that are set for the league tournaments and things like that, any meetings that might be coming up. And I want to thank everybody for coming out today. I know the weather wasn't the greatest. We hope that you picked up at least one thing today that will make your job easier as a coach and a parent. And we do have some more raffle items to give out here, and we'll go ahead and take care of those. And again, always feel free to reach out.